Hi there, I'm Christy Wilhelmy from Garden Nerd, and I am at the Northwest Flower and Garden Festival in Seattle, Washington, where there's a lot going on. Even though there's COVID, we're all wearing masks, and I'm going to take you on a tour. Let's go. Our first stop is on the Sky Bridge, where there's this beautiful display of fashion created by flowers. It's just so outside the norm, I've got to show you. Take a look.
Can you hold this one?
This is what I'm talking about. It is fashion created from flowers. And you can see there are several to choose from and vote on. I really like this one. This one over here has a lot going on in front and back. Dig those pants. This is just straight off the playa at Burning Man, I'm telling you. But I think this one is my favorite simply because of this incredible texturing on the skirt. I know, you don't think I'm about fashion, and I'm really not, but I mean, come on, it's made of plants. This is amazing. Next, we're going to wander into the exhibit hall where things are for sale for garden nerds. This is going to be fun. Check out some of my favorite things that I saw here today. Things are crazy here, and there are a lot of plants for sale that apply to, things I can't grow at home. But this thing caught my eye over here. This is called the gate lever, and honestly, it is the most useful thing I've seen here at this garden tour, garden show. It's the gate lever, and for those of you who have trouble reaching over your gate, can you demonstrate? This is so awesome.
If I were to come in and I can't do this, instead I can just push this down.
Genius! It is.
It works.
Total, absolute genius.
These are on top.
And yeah, you just push the button and it opens the gate. Like, how did it take us 4 centuries or whatever to figure out how to do this? This is the coolest thing ever, and there are some side ones too.
This one here, if you have a space on the side of your gate, then you can put this one on.
So smart.
This one, it's hard to see from the outside.
Yeah.
You reach over and it's a toggle.
Oh, very cool.
And it can be on either side. You can toggle it either way.
That's so smart.
Have it.
Awesome. And again, that is the gate lever, or lever, depending on where you're from.
You want to go up here and show what
thegatelever.com. One of the other things that I discovered is this cool thing. It's called Grow Inspired Thriving Design, and so this woman's brother invented it. Tell us a little bit about it.
Hi, I'm Morgan Ryder, and I'm the co-founder of Thriving Design with my brother Jason. Jason was tired of using tomato cages that didn't work for his plants or his space, so he sketched out what was initially just intended to be a plant tie anchor to clip on stakes, and ended up with the C-Bite, which is what you see right here.
There are these little clamps that hook on. If someone has rebar stakes, coated rebar stakes, or your own product, this works for them.
Yep, it totally does. So these will work with standard 5 and 6 foot garden stakes, so we sell them loose, as well as in kits with 4 5 foot stakes, 4 2.5 foot stakes, and 17 C-Bites, and you can use one kit to build any one of these structures.
And you mentioned to me that they're not actually rebar,
they're poly-coated steel, but if you have rebar, they'll work just fine. Or if you've got stakes at home that are standard 5 and 6 foot stakes, like other brands, they'll work great with that. So.
Okay, great. And the cool thing, I don't know if you can see this, everyone, but you can build trellises that are pretty much any way you want and do things that way. Cool. They also have these green caps that go on your stakes so you don't put your eye out, which is
your finger,
or whatever. Yeah, it's awesome. And then we get into some other artistic things that are, you know, celebrating the elements of nature that we end up turning into art. Let's take a look. These are three-dimensional maps that are made out of wood and carved in the shape of waterways in the area. And they're just so beautiful. I find them really intriguing. Some of them even are lit from within. I could totally see this hanging on my wall. This is great. So this is Bella Maps, laser carved 3D wood maps. They're just gorgeous. They're just, they even have some round ones that are clocks. Very cool. I think everyone should have a green man in their life. It's just some of the really cute ones, or, you know, interesting and dynamic ones that they have here are located at Forest Green Enterprises. Now, blown glass is a big deal here in Washington because it is the home of Dale Chihuly, the famous glassblower. Insider story here, my dad went to school with him and they got in a fight over a girl. I'm just saying. So every time I see this kind of glass decor in the garden, I think about my dad beating up Dale Chihuly. Now, let's look through the display gardens because they are pretty impressive. They have to build these gardens in 72 hours or less, and they have to be alive the whole time the show is running. So it's got, you know, keep that in mind as you look at these. They're not outdoors in soil. They've been brought indoors in an artificial environment, and they look pretty impressive. There are some moody display gardens and some that are just pretty and impressive. Let's take a look. When you first come in, you see smaller displays like this one. But then you start to get to the bigger ones with greenhouses and waterfalls. Take a look. A bridge. Some of them you can actually walk through. Yeah, they grow tulips up here and they come back year after year. But others do not. I think the biggest one is my favorite one because it has a lot of dedications to people who had to stick it out during the pandemic, like teachers and medical workers, and you know, it's got a lot of elements to it. I'll just walk you around this because it's really pretty. Excuse me. So this is dedicated to everyone staying at home and making the best of their yards during the pandemic. Oh, but see that red thing over there? Let's go look at that closer. They've got a beehive, not occupied, but these are live quail that are living in here during this whole thing. They were napping earlier today, but they're awake. They seem to be up now. In the cutest little red home for them. Super cute. But you know, they've got the row crops growing in with the beehive and the wheelbarrow, the little wagon, and these espalier apple trees on as a path between garden beds. They have this giant cedar here, and loving memory of people who didn't make it through the pandemic. And then this hydroponics bay with a medical chair for people who are putting out, offering medical care during the pandemic, with beautiful Helleborus, which I love and can't grow where I live. This is they put a chair in with these indoor gardens and aquaponics systems. And then we're getting to my favorite part, which is over here, where there's piles of potatoes and squash, because I love this. Meadow. May the meadow embrace us as we dance and take deep breaths with good health. And there's, you know, crates of potatoes and squash with bears and another bear, which you can't quite see. Basically, this is, you know, a display garden for the people. And it finishes off with some beautiful daffodils. This one is called the Seeker's Sanctuary, and you can see that it's a little oasis where people can come and relax in their garden. You know, if you had this, if this were your garden. But the little hand fountains are really charming, and there's a lot of use of conifers up here. I see that. And if you're into orchids, this is an incredible garden that has a full-size greenhouse where you can walk through it and see all of the orchids inside. It's really impressive. It's definitely not my speed, but it is so impressive as a display garden indoors. Fantastic. And the last stop on the tour is, of course, the University Bookstore, where you'll find all kinds of books from all of the speakers who spoke during this whole conference, including, oh, what's this? Yours truly, Grow Your Own Mini Fruit Garden, Garden Variety, and Gardening for Geeks. You'll even find more of them up on the wall over by that gentleman over there. This is before the place is really open, so there's nobody here right now. Well, that's it, garden nerds. I hope you enjoyed the tour of the 2022 Northwest Flower and Garden Festival. If you like this video, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe and click the notification button to find out when our next video comes online. Show your support for this YouTube channel by becoming a Patreon subscriber, and of course check out my books. They're at your local bookstore. Happy gardening.